Hey, what's up guys? It's Cliff from Trail Grid Pro, and as always, super pumped to be back with you. In front of me today, we have the Beat-Sonic ENA-3T3. If you caught the video of Sean and I, where we did a little comparison before and after in a Toyota Land Cruiser, before the Beat-Sonic amplifier, after the Beat-Sonic amplifier, well, you know already that this thing packs a punch. In reality, this is kind of like a line driver. So it amplifies the signal going into the existing JBL amplifier, which then makes everything louder. And the test that we did was with the factory speakers as well. So all we're doing is adding this line driver to the existing setup, and you get much louder, more bass. It's an awesome setup. And to boot is that this also has outputs for a mono amplifier if you want to add a subwoofer. So it can absolutely be a comprehensive solution. If you've got your new 2024 or 2025 Land Cruiser, you paid a little bit for that extra Land Cruiser to get the JBL amplified system, but you want more, this is a great way to do it. Get louder and then add a mono amp and a subwoofer. You're going to be sounding great, way better than all of your other friends that have Land Cruisers. Okay, to make sure I'm crystal clear to everyone watching, this is a JBL amplified solution. So we've got a first edition 2024 Land Cruiser behind us. It requires a JBL amplified system, which is a deviation from a lot of the other solutions that we have where you have to replace something in order to get more. In this case, we get to add this Beat-Sonic line driver to get more out of your existing system. So this is compatible with a 2024 or 2025 Land Cruiser with the JBL amplified system, the 2020 plus 4Runner, 2020 plus Tacoma, 2020 plus Tundra, and lots of other in the Toyota lineup, but those specifically are the ones that we cover. So if you got any of those vehicles, you can add this to your existing JBL amplified vehicle to be sounding much louder and better than you do right now. Now, in front of me on the table is everything that comes in this, frankly, tiny box. Again, it packs a punch, right? So we've got the ENA-3T3 right here. Again, you know, look at that. It's small. And so what does that mean? It packs a punch, and then you're gonna have a really easy time putting this somewhere in any of those vehicles that's gonna make it hidden and you don't even know it's there. In the Land Cruiser, there's a nice spot right behind the factory radio. We'll show you here in a little bit where you can just mount it right behind, out of sight, out of mind, and you just get a better audio system. So this is it right here, all plug and play connectors, no wiring, soldering, nothing you have to do. Everything is completely plug and play. And like I said, we've got the RCA outs for adding a subwoofer, a mono amplifier, which is awesome. Also on this side of the amplifiers, we've got gain control for front and rear. We're gonna set that, or make a recommendation. We're gonna set it at about 2 o'clock, and we'll do that here in a little bit, but that's the recommendation that we're gonna make with the factory speakers and everything like that. Obviously, it's your choice, but that's our recommendation. Also in front of us, we have the, again, like I said, completely plug and play. This is gonna come in the box, ready to go. All of your wiring, we'll go over in more detail when we do the installation. And also in the box, thanks to Beat-Sonic, is we have some double-sided tape, which we're gonna use to mount the amplifier. So as you can see, this is a completely worry-free solution and frankly, easy to install. All right, from a tools perspective, super simple. All we need is a Phillips head screwdriver, a 10mm socket, and a panel tool. If you have a metal panel tool, that's gonna be a little bit better. If you only have a plastic, you can get that to work, but we're gonna be using a metal panel tool. And also we're gonna do another test today with our decibel meter, just to run it again. So we're gonna test a before and after so that you can see that here today, before the line driver, after the line driver. So let's get started. All right guys, we're in the Land Cruiser. Before we get started with disassembly, I'm gonna run through a quick decibel test again. In the previous video we did without the Beat-Sonic amplifier, so just the JBL amplified Toyota. In the Land Cruiser, we got about 80 to 81 decibels with a particular song at 40 volume level. And then we ran the same test at 40 volume level with the same song in the Land Cruiser with the Beat-Sonic line driver. It was about 86.3, somewhere in that territory. So a huge increase in decibel level, but we're gonna do that test again for you guys watching, so let's get started with that. All right, so let's get this volume level up to 40 just to start. Okay, so 79.7, little different environment. I've got this window open. We've got the sunroof open. In the last test, we didn't have either of the windows open, but we're gonna keep these both the same when we do both tests. So we're at like 79.7 factory system. So let's get started with the disassembly so we can see just how much louder the Beat-Sonic line driver is. So the first piece that we need to remove is actually this piece right here on the side. So we're gonna use our panel tool and there's a little gap right here. You can probably see that. Just gonna separate it. There you go, you hear the pops. It's just held together by pop clips. And we might wanna get back here too. And this piece just pops right off. Just like that. All right, next thing we need to do is we need to remove this gear shifter. So that just pops down, as you can see. All right, so now that we have the shift cover lowered, right where my panel tool is, there's a little groove right here. And I'm doing that as a point of reference because there's actually a little metal, like almost a horseshoe clip that's in there that's holding the shift knob in place. So we need to actually take that piece, the horseshoe little clip, and push it toward the front of the vehicle. It most likely might pop off and kind of land somewhere in this section. If you do it gingerly, it won't pop off, but that's what's holding this in place. So once we remove that, we'll be able to take off this. It's easiest to do from the passenger side, so I'm gonna go to the passenger side and take care of that, but this is where it is, right here in this little groove right here. So let's get that taken care of. Okay, so over here on the passenger side, I'm gonna go ahead and lower the shift cover. I'm gonna take my panel tool, and this is, if you can see this is the clip right here. You kind of see it, it's a little shinier than the rest. So I'm gonna push that back with my panel tool here. The front of it comes out about right here. Oh, there it is. It just kind of slipped right out. So this is the piece, I said it's kind of like a horseshoe. Best explanation I could come up with is the piece that needs to be removed from that little section, which is gonna allow me to remove the shift knob. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the shift knob now. All right. So now the shift knob will just pop right up. And there we go. My recommendation, little horseshoe clip right back in place so that you'll have it when it's ready to go back on. Okay, so next we need to remove the sort of left side of this little center console portion, and it actually lifts right up. You might need a panel tool for that, but it should just lift right up. And behind it, there's just some plugs that we need to remove, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove those. There's 1, there's 2, and here's the third one. There we go. So 1, 2, 3. Put that aside. All right, next we're gonna remove this section right here, and this just pulls right off. Pull it towards you. There we go. And on the back of this, there are 2 plugs. So one here on the top, and then one down here. So we're gonna remove this one, and then the one up here on top. All right. So now we've got that section removed. Next, we're gonna remove this piece right here, which we probably need our panel tool for that. So let's just put our panel tool up here. There we go. And this can just stay loose here because what we need access to is this Phillips head screw right here, which we're going to remove. All right. Okay, got that removed. All right, next is this entire section right here pops off. So we're going to start by just pulling it. All right, so it'll start to dislodge a little bit and come across. All right, there we go. And I'm gonna open the glove box. So this next step, which I'm gonna hop into the passenger side for, there's a little clip here on the back, right kind of in this section, which we need to push up in order to release this whole piece here. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So what we're aiming for is there's this white tab right here. And basically we need to push it up from the bottom, from underneath, and it's gonna come out this little window right here. All right, so we're gonna come at it. It's easiest to do if you have the glove box open. I can meet the underside of the white piece with my finger. I've got my middle finger under here, and I just push it up. There we go, and it releases. Okay, so this is the piece right here. When installed, it's gonna sit right in here, which obviously captures it and keeps it in place. So we're just pushing this white little tab here up this little channel here and out this window. So that's all that's happening there. And then this entire piece becomes available to come off. Okay, so there's a couple plugs here before we can fully remove it that we just need to remove. I'm gonna hop over to the driver's side to take care of that just because it's a little easier. So let's take care of that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the plugs removed. This is we can start with here. Just again, depress the tab and pull up. And the second one is right here. So depress the tab and pull up. And then this one, it's a little fastener and it's a little tricky to remove. There we go. Depress it just like that, and then it'll release from this section right here. And now we can push this aside. All right, next thing we need to do is remove the speaker grill up here. All right, so let's use our panel tool and just get underneath of it, just gingerly, and we'll remove the speaker grill. There's just little tabs that hold it into place. There we go. All right, and the whole speaker grill will remove. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these two 10mm bolts on either side. So there and there, and there and there. So let's get those removed. And 4. Okay, at this point, the head unit can actually be pulled right out. And what's pulling out is the bezel stays. So this lighter gray portion stays, everything here stays. It's just the screen portion that comes out. So I'm gonna put a little microfiber towel down here while we do this, just to keep the screen protected. And push out from the back. Oh, there we go, that was easy. And the screen will come right out. There we go. And we're gonna rest this down here. Okay. There we go. Just like that. Okay, so now that we have the head unit removed, there's really only 2 plugs that we need to access. It's this white plug right here, and then this black plug right here. To be able to access this black plug easier, it's gonna make sense to remove these 2 small brown and black plugs here in the front. So let's go ahead and remove those. So there's 1, there's 2, and these are the 2 plugs that we need to access for the amplifier. So let's go ahead and remove those. There we go. And I use a little flathead to help with this. There we go. It was a little finicky. All right, we've got those 2 removed. We've got these removed. So now we're kind of ready for the Beat-Sonic amplifier, but for mounting purposes, where we're gonna mount the amplifier, I'm also gonna remove the center channel speaker here on top. It's just gonna make it a little easier to tuck the line driver amplifier right here in the back. So let's go ahead and remove that real quick. We just need a Phillips head. That can just kind of sit up there. Now that I have the center channel speaker removed, there's actually a wiring harness right here that's connected with this white fastener here. I'm actually going to remove that because I'm going to want to use this space to store the amplifier, and I just want to kind of get that out of the way. So let me just push that back. So just pushing that to the side a little bit. It's going to give us a little bit more room to store. I'll probably zip tie it up to this other wiring harness there, but not really concerned about any rattle or anything. It's a very light little connector. So just want to get that out of the way. All right, so we've got the wiring harness here, and as you can tell, I mean, it's super beautiful, super well made, And just for orientation, this side of the harness here is for the head unit, and we've got a little ground right here, which we're going to ground actually right to the side of the radio. And this on this side is for the connections to the amplifier. And there's a remote turn on here. The reason there's a remote turn on here is if you're going to add a mono amp for a subwoofer, this is where your remote lead will go. So this is just capped off now. We're obviously not adding a sub today, but if you were, this is where you'd get your remote. So what we're going to start with is I'm going to actually set these connectors in. So we're going to start with black. So black just goes right into the black port, color coded, super simple. Okay, so that's seated and well. And then white to white. So let's get that connected. All right, perfect. And then all we're doing is taking the connectors that went into the factory radio and just plugging them into the color coordinated Beat-Sonic amplifier harness. Again, plug and play, super simple. Hear that click. Here's the other one, the white one, just like that, and it clicks. All right, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach the ground, and we're gonna use the side bolts, and these are on pretty tight. So if you find that it's tight to take off with just a Phillips head, crack it with an 8mm, and that's what we did. So we cracked it, and now I'm gonna just loosen it a little bit more so I can fit this fork under here. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it back down. All right, so now we've got a ground, so we're good there. All right, so now we have the amplifier here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the gains here. Here's the rear gain and the front gain. I'm going to set it to about 2 o'clock. So right now it's at, about 12 o'clock, so I'm going to just put it a little forward, call that about 2 o'clock right there, roughly. Maybe that's 1:30, but that's where we're going to put it. And same thing for the rear. So that's a good setting right there, like we recommended in the intro. And then as far as the connectors, couldn't be easier. We've got our 2 remaining connectors here from our harness. And hey, look at that. We got 2 plugs, not only that are color coded, but look exactly the same. Let's go ahead and plug one in there and plug the other in there. And there we go. And just as a reminder, this is the remote lead if you're going to add a mono sub to this, a mono amp to add a subwoofer, and that is accomplished via these RCAs right here. And so what we're going to do now is prep for our placement of the amplifier. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go right to the back of this cavity right here. There's some nice space right in the back where we can put this whole thing where it'll be completely out of sight, out of mind, and it's going to look great. All right, I've got the amplifier here, and I've got the double-sided tape. I've removed one side, and I'm actually going to be putting the amplifier in this way to the back. I've got the connectors here on the left, and then the RCAs here on the right. And I'm going to put just a strip on either side. There's some points there in the back of the cavity where it'll sort of catch, and I'm not trying to, in the event that I might be adding a mono amp for a sub, or need to change my gains, this isn't going to be stuck there forever. It's just going to keep it in place for purposes of the audio system right now. So I've got those right there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the other side here. And I'll be able to show you, there we go, where I'm going to place it. And the fortunate thing is in these Land Cruisers, it's got really a lot of space back there, which is good. Okay, so I'm going to head back this way, and I'm going to go all the way to the back of the cavity here. Pull up that section right there. All right. So I've placed it back there. There's enough space back there for it. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. It fits in there nicely. I've got the double-sided tape is catching on 2 different areas back there where it's very sturdy, and it's super concealed. Now, this wiring harness, it's longer. So if you wanted to place it somewhere else, maybe down here underneath the dash or somewhere else, you could definitely do that. But you know, that's just nice and concealed back there. It's the double-sided tape is holding on to 2 pieces of plastic back there, so it's super tucked in there. And you know, frankly, we're not even going to see it or know it's there. So super concealed, and that's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to clean up some of these wires right here because it's a little long with some zip ties, and then we'll continue with reassembly. So let's get these cut. All right, last but not least, we've got to go ahead and plug our 2 connectors back in that we took out to be able to access the black plug. Both of those are in. So now we are ready to put this head unit back into position. So let's tuck some of these wires in like that. Lots of nice room back there. Perfect. All right, we're in there. Let's give her a little cleanup here. She got to look pretty. Now we're going to put our speaker back in. So let's get those bolts. All right, perfect. Got that, and now it's time for our 4 10 mils. We can start those with our hand. Tighten them down. All right. So next up, we got to put our dash essentially back together, but there's 3 connectors that we need to connect on the back side here. They're all keyed. Actually, you know what? We're going to start right here with this connector here. Flip it over. There we go. That way. Let's get that in. There we go. And here. And you know, other than the fact that they're keyed, you know that they're the right one because only one reaches all the way over here. All right, there we go. We got those in, so now we can begin to put our dash back together. But remember, we've got this white piece over here that we have to hook up in this area to be able to sit down here. So as we start to put this back in, we got to make sure we do that. I'm going to head over to the passenger side to make sure I loop that correctly. So just by putting it into position, I don't know if you can see it here, it's already looped. So it went right into the hole and looped back down. So reinstalling this is way easier than uninstalling it. So good stuff. All right, and this is all held on by clips, so we can go ahead and start punching it in. There we go. It all snaps back into position, just like that. All right, good. And we can put our bolt over here back in. It's actually a Phillips head, so right here, just put the Phillips head back in. All right, so that's it right there. And then this piece is just gonna pop back into position. So just align it correctly, just snaps right back in. There we go. All right, next up is our drive mode section here, and we've got 2 connectors that we need to plug in. We got one right here. All right, and then there's another one down here. So right here. There we go. and this will just snap right into place. There we go. Easy peasy. And now we're going to start reassembling our little console area, but first we're going to plug in our connectors here. So we've got black here, and then we've got two whites, and again they're all keyed, so that looks to go there, and then this one will go here. There we go. And we'll put it right on top there and slide it down. Boom, snaps right into position. And since we already put back in our little locking horseshoe here, this will just slide right in and lock. There we go, it's locked. And then we just pull this back up. There we go. Functions. Got to put on our side piece here. Right here. Right here on the side, there's little slots down here, just kind of push forward, and then once you push forward, it pops right in. All right, and last but certainly not least, we got to put our top grill back on. And these just have tabs, which all you need to do is push down. I mean, I tell you, Toyota's like a big Lego. And there you have it. After a few snap, crackles, and pops, your Toyota Land Cruiser is back together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run through our decibel test. Let's just make sure how it sounds, and I'm pumped, so let's get started with that. I'm going to shut this door here. All right, let's go ahead and put this in accessory power. All right, so we're about to run the decibel meter test. So just as a reminder, the variables in this test are a little different than the previous video. For camera purposes, I've got the window open. We also have the sunroof open, so not as confined, but here we are. We're going to be able to tell the difference. I'm also running this via Bluetooth. So Bluetooth streaming, which is frankly one of the worst audio sources to use, but it's still going to give us an equal measure. So let's go ahead and run through this. So I'm going to turn the decibel meter on. All right, set it to max. All right, so let's get started here. Okay, so interestingly, our first test before the Beat-Sonic amplifier, we were at a 79, and which was lower than our initial test, which we did only a couple days ago. This reading with the amplifier is almost exactly the same, 86. So we got a 79 versus an 86. So simply installing the Beat-Sonic amplifier, we've got the same JBL amplifier, we've got all the stock speakers in this 2024 Land Cruiser, and we are 7 decibels louder, which is significant. And it sounds so much better. More bass, just more all around you. It just sounds wonderful. And with this simple installation, which you're talking about an hour, you get to keep all of your factory components and get louder. So the one thing that I talked about is that when driving down the road in this and you have your windows down, it's really hard to hear the music with the factory setup. Simply adding the Beat-Sonic ENA-3T3, you're gonna be able to hear that music. And again, we're only at 40 volume. The volume goes up to 60. So there are 20 more volume levels to go through to hit max. So it's awesome. I mean, I'm a huge fan. We're a huge fan as a company. Like I said, they're just all good people over there. We're super pumped about our partnership. You can follow this installation for a Land Cruiser exactly, whether you have a 2024 or a 2025. This works also for, like we said in the beginning, 2020 plus 4Runners that have JBL amplified, 2020 plus Tacomas that have JBL amplified, and 2020 plus Tundras that are JBL amplified. So if you're looking to add more to your JBL amplified vehicle and you don't want to rip a bunch of stuff out in order to do that, this is the way to do it. Again, at an unbeatable price to get a significant improvement in your overall audio experience, definitely the Beat-Sonic line driver amplifier. You can get it today in the Trail Grid Pro shop at www.trailgridpro.com. And as always, guys, have a blast out there.